Hello and welcome to another episode of the WEM Video Academy. Today we are going to have an in-depth look at the template editor. The template editor is used in every location inside the modeler where template content is created, whether this is for an interaction node, a template fragment, a document, an email, or any other form of information dispatched to an application user. The template editor can be accessed by double-clicking an interaction node or template fragment, or by clicking the Edit Template button in one of the Execute Process node functions, such as Generate PDF file or Send email. Bear in mind that the rendering of the content may not always be identical across these applications. An email may display its content slightly different than a web page, and a Word document may not show the content exactly as a PDF document. After clicking the button or double-clicking the node, we will see the template editor opening in its own modeler tab. Let's have a look at the overall design of the template editor. We see a canvas-style work area that can be filled with default WEM components, global or custom widgets, or script blocks containing pure HTML. At the top of the screen, we see the so-called ribbon containing the default WEM components, access to the widgets, and various styling features. We will present the various features block by block in this video. At the bottom of the screen, we see a button bar, suited for easy positioning of exit or flowchart buttons. Let's examine the ribbon from the left-hand side, in the General section. The first and most important button in this section is the Save button. Remember that you will always need to save the changes that you make in the work area. If you try to close the Template Editor tab with pending changes, the modeler will give you a warning not to lose unsaved changes. The other buttons in this block are a mix of editing features. Here we see a pair of undo and redo buttons, allowing us to undo changes in the work area or redo changes that were undone before. Below them we find the Go To Node button, which will take us to the interaction node containing the template that we are currently editing. The button next to it is the Unwrap button, which allows to remove a component but keep the component content. Adjacent to this block, we find the Preview Sizes section. The WEM platform is based on Bootstrap 3, which distinguishes 4 different screen sizes: large for a desktop or laptop screen, medium for a tablet in landscape orientation, small for a tablet in portrait orientation, and extra small for smartphones. We mention these devices just to give you an idea about it, since they are not actually related to a specific device. The selected buttons provide an idea of how the template will render in the selected screen size. Use these buttons only to get a first idea about the rendering. It does not replace the actual application testing on the related screen size in a modified browser or on an actual device. Next is the Style block. In this section, we find a range of distinctive style options applying to labels and to some other components. These are the available features. The H1 through H6 and P styles will apply the corresponding HTML heading and paragraph settings. The number and bullet buttons are used to create numbered or bulleted lists of content. The indent and outdent buttons will increase or decrease the indent level, for instance with bulleted lists. The buttons Erase, Bold, Italic, Cite, and Small are used to change the presentation of text in a label or other component. The alignment buttons allow to change the text alignment to left, center, right, or justified. The hyperlink button will convert a regular text part into a hyperlink. Here are the properties for the hyperlink. And last but not least, the tooltip button will attach a tooltip to a component for providing extra information when hovering the component with the mouse. Here are the properties for the tooltip, with settings for rendering, mode, placement, and the content of the tooltip. Bear in mind that the actual rendering of these styles in a particular application depends on the design template and may vary between different WEM applications. Now we will come to the 3 component sections, providing access to a collection of easy-to-use and easy-to-configure WEM components. These components have been designed by our engineers over a period of time and tried and tested with many different WEM users. We will briefly demonstrate each component in the work area and then switch to preview for demonstrating all components by group. For detailed explanations on specific components, such as the adaptive columns, we refer to other videos elsewhere in the Academy or to the WEM Academy Junior Training. The links can be found in the description of the video. First, the layout section, containing a couple of particularly important WEM components for professional design and layout of your screens. The Adaptive Columns component will divide your screen in virtual columns as per the Bootstrap 3 grid system. It allows for easy spread and alignment of your content across the screen in horizontal direction. It also supports responsiveness of your screen based on the viewport size. The Adaptive Columns layout can be specified in detail for the 4 different Bootstrap size settings. It can also hide columns in certain screen sizes, allowing for a dynamic differentiation of content across devices. If you want to know more about this component, please check the Adaptive Columns video through the link in the video description. The div component is a simple container available in 4 distinctive styles. A major feature of the div component is the on-click event, which will make any content placed inside the container clickable. The panel component is an expandable container available in 6 distinct color contexts, consisting of a header, a body, and a footer. A panel can be displayed in collapsed or expanded state, either by expression or user interaction. It is commonly used for frequently asked questions sections. The alert component is a simple label available in 4 distinctive styles, allowing for a combination of text and icon. The table component represents a classic HTML table with rows and columns, including a header row. Unlike the Adaptive Columns component, the HTML table component is not responsive, which makes it ideal for displaying content in a fixed layout across different screens, for instance for label value pairs. The width of each column can be set in pixels or a percentage in the cell width property in the top cell of the column. There are further properties for cell alignment and color context, for row and column visibility conditions, and for overall table layout settings. The image component will display a static image from the files collection on screen. The properties will allow to set the image dimensions either with fixed values or responsively, meaning it will consume the available space inside the parent container bound by maximum settings. The icon component will allow to drag an icon from the available icon libraries into a text label either in the work area or inside a component. The label component is used across the application, either directly in the work area or inside other components such as buttons and data grids. Since you will meet this label almost everywhere, there is no need for a separate introduction here. That concludes the layout section. Now let's switch to preview and check out the presentation of these components. Here in preview, we can switch between the components using the radio buttons at the top of the screen. The adaptive columns are presented in several different configurations, with an example of a production-style layout here. The borders, of course, are optional. We can resize the viewport using the Inspect Element option to mimic the behavior of the columns on different devices. The div component is presented in its 4 different styles. Bear in mind that the colors are dependent on the design template behind this application. Here we match them against the colors of the WEM logo. One of them is clickable and will exit into a dialog. The panel component is presented in its 6 different styles. The expansion is managed through a session field. This makes it possible to expand and collapse them all at the same time. The alert component is shown in its 4 different contexts, and we see that the colors of the icons and labels are matched against the background. The table component is presented in 2 slightly different layouts. Any layout can be configured, and the layout remains when resizing the viewport. The image component shows static images in different sizes, either preset by height and width, or responsive within its parent container. The icon component is presented here for demonstration. The icons can be shown in 6 different context colors and in every possible size. The label component is presented using the default heading and paragraph styles we met earlier in the video. Onwards to another component section. The form component is one of the most prominent members of this section. It displays an entry form that can be filled with input fields for all field types, such as date pickers for date fields, radio buttons for Boolean fields, and drop-downs or checkboxes for concept sets. The form attaches labels to fields that can be filled via expressions and positioned in front or on top of the related fields in different view sizes. There are several ways to validate field entries. The simple form is by clicking the red dot in front of the field to make the field obligatory. The user will see an alert panel when trying to submit the form without a value for this field. The validation rule component is used to validate the entries filled out across multiple input fields and alert the user if the validation fails. In this case, we paste a validator, checking that either the date of birth or the over 21 check has been filled. The message will appear only if the validation expression is not met. The required field component is an alternative to the validator and is used to force entry of a particular field in a form dialog. In this case, we paste a required field on the Boolean field terms and conditions, which is not part of the input form. The button component is the other especially important group member here. It is the most commonly used component for invoking user actions, such as submission of an input form. Buttons can be displayed in 5 styles, 7 color contexts, 4 bootstrap sizes, and 3 alignments. Buttons can be used to start 6 different events, such as following an exit or invoking a flowchart. The drop-down component displays a drop-down menu anywhere inside the template area. The drop-down menu members are buttons that can be styled like regular buttons. The drop-down component can be aligned left or right, can open up or down, and has a section here for dragging buttons into the drop-down list. The freeform item component is part of a form component and may contain content other than a regular input field. In this example, we have added an input group to the form with icon buttons on either side of the input field. And that concludes the interaction section. Let's circle back to preview and explore the components in this group. We choose the second group on the left side and select the first one in the group here. The form component is presented in 2 slightly different layouts, one to suit wider dialogues and another to suit more narrow ones. The red asterisk corresponds to a required value, as set by clicking the red dot in the field definition. The validation rule component can be triggered by provoking the validation expression. In this case, we leave both the date of birth and the over 21 check blank. The required field component can be provoked in the same way by not checking the terms and conditions validation. The button component, as said before, is one of the key components of the modeler. Here is an outline of the different presentation forms of the button component with respect to context color, size, grouping, alignment, and button value, meaning text, icon, or a combination of those two. The drop-down component appears as a list of small buttons and is presented in the same way. Furthermore, it can be aligned in the following ways. The freeform item can be used inside a form component and will present itself in its own way. The input group buttons can be used while the form is open and do not affect the form itself. Onwards to the third and last component section in the Template Editor ribbon. We have arrived at the last section of the ribbon, the Miscellaneous group. In spite of its name, it contains a couple of particularly important components. From top to bottom, the tab component displays a tab bar based on a single select field. The concept set linked to the single select field will form the tabs of the bar, while the order of concepts in the set equals the order of the tabs. Tabs can be displayed as buttons or in a conventional tab style. The Google Maps component is self-explanatory and will display a Google map in the template based on a Google Maps API key. The template fragment component will insert a template fragment from the yellow collection tab in the template. It allows for easy reuse of template components across different templates. The script block component is used to compose literal HTML, CSS, or JavaScript inside the template. It can be used for many different things, such as local styling or scripted updates to HTML tags. The AI chatbox component will be presented in a separate AI presentation video. The reference container addresses reference data model items based on a reference field expression. It allows for easy display of multiple referenced fields without having to repeat the dereferencing operator on each of them. The conditional is one of the most important members of this group, although not literally a component. A conditional does not get rendered itself, but determines by expression whether certain other content will be rendered or not. It is particularly important in determining screen content based on validations or authorizations. It's also used in combination with the tab bar component in order to link certain screen content to a particular tab. The Datagrid is one of the most used components in a WEM application. It displays a grid of data retrieved from a database list or transient list. It is usually the starting point for any overview screen in the WEM application, displaying data in pages containing a preset number of rows per page. The Datagrid is already formatted and requires little styling and preparation apart from filtering. The repeater is the cousin of the Datagrid and also displays collections of data. Contrary to the Datagrid, however, the repeater is not formatted and the data layout needs to be provided by the WEM developer, using other WEM components inside the repeater. It is ideal for creating custom format data presentations, for instance for combining visual and text information like in a web shop. The rich text component returns rich text content. It is an alternative to a regular label. Last but not least, the Rocket button allows to drag a global or custom widget into the template. Widgets are coded front-end objects consisting of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. They are equipped with a built-in posting mechanism for sending input collected in the browser back the WEM servers. This allows for adding custom components or algorithms to the WEM application in the browser. For the third and last time, let's jump over the fence to preview and examine the presentation of this group of components. The tab bar can be displayed in tab layout, like here, or as buttons. We have chosen the same single select field that feeds the radio buttons at the top. Inside the template, we use a conditional to render the children on alert panels. The Google Maps widget is set to the office location of WEM No Code Solutions BV. The location can be set by address or by geo-coordinates. The template fragment can be used for easy reuse and multiplication of a predefined set of template components. The script block can be used for styling purposes. Here we use a session field to apply or remove local styling on the 4 divs we met earlier in the video. The reference container, well, is a technical component that cannot really be demonstrated in a browser. The conditional can be used to hide or display content on screen by validation or authorization. The Datagrid, as said, is the common component for creating data overview screens, required in almost any business application. The repeater displays the same data, but in a free format chosen by the WEM developer. The profile image can, of course, be selected dynamically. The rich text component is, well, just that. And finally, a custom widget to wrap up the presentation. That concludes our overview of the template editor. As we said at the beginning of the video, the template editor is used for creating content for interaction nodes, template fragments, documents, and email bodies alike. As a last tip, we would like to point your attention towards the breadcrumb feature at the bottom of the template editor. For complex nested elements, it can sometimes be a bit hard to select the exact component part for making changes. In this situation, you may select the nested element by clicking the element in the breadcrumb. And that concludes our video. We hope you enjoyed it. Please leave your feedback in the comments below and share the video with your colleagues and friends. Subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on the latest WEM news and videos. We hope to see you soon again in the WEM Video Academy.